My name is Fintan O'Toolebox, and you're listening to the Finterview. Today I'm interviewing Séamus Ó'Laoi, author of Tales from the Lockdown, one man's experiences through one of the strangest periods in human history. Welcome, Séamus. Can you tell us a bit about your book and what made you write it?
You know the way that we were locked inside our houses, we were told to put on masks and breathe in our own shit. I just thought that was a kind of a significant event, and rather than kind of forget about it, I thought that let's record it. I created this book with 5 parts. One was looking at where everything started, the people involved, the organisations involved, and some of the interesting things behind them. What I did was try to dig for interesting details that maybe people haven't seen already, or they, glossed over them. The third part then goes through stories of things that happened to myself. And I suppose I've a tendency to kind of poke the bear. Like a lot of people who oppose lockdown, we tend to be more adventurous, I suppose. So there was a lot of interesting things that happened to myself, and I just described them. Their book is written satirically, like it's a satire of the characters and the things that happened because they were so crazy. The fourth part of the book, Observations and Reminiscences, outlines what life was like under lockdown. A few of the, I suppose, the highlights, and these are things you can tell your grandkids if you do get your hands on the book. It's a good one to have. It's a good record, and you can take it out and just kind of point out to people who are wondering in the future, what the hell happened during that time. Last part of the book is it's a couple of conclusions, things my experiences taught me, pointing at the future. I hear people ask, what do we do? What's the solution? I think, to be honest, people still think inside the bubble for the solution. Even people on our own side, I still think we're actually captured by the structures that have been beaten into us, like the whole idea of those structures around us. Somebody's going to lead us out of our prison that we find ourselves in, and the reality is just completely different. It's only we will lead ourselves out. We need to take responsibility. So that's my outlook.
I haven't actually read the book, but looking through the contents, the names for the different sections is quite amusing. For example, the first part, never mind the Nazis, here's the World Economic Forum, which I thought was funny. Don't mention the war, phrase made popular by Faulty Towers. Lucky Luke, presumably that refers to Luke O'Neill. Creepy Uncle Tubbs, that old scallywag Ryan Tubridy, who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar some time ago. Dour Dr. Doom, who would that be?
That refers to our good friend Dr. Tony Holohan, a man who is responsible for more Irish deaths than, let's say, Oliver Cromwell.
Here you've got Netanyahu fixes everything, like fixes P-F-I-X-E-S. Tony Ouchie Fauci. There's a lot here about a chap called Bill. Bill opens the gates of hell.
Bill Gates, a man who keeps trying desperately to give away his money but just can't help getting richer, growing his wealth from 2010 to 2020, a decade that he called the decade of vaccines, and doubling his wealth.
Melinda's makeover.
Melinda French, that woman who was lucky enough to marry Bill Gates. Unfortunately, things didn't work out and they parted ways, but the Gates Foundation remains operating, I'm happy to say.
In part 3, the stories, one is The Criminal Trash Collector.
Yes, that's the story of when 4 policemen surrounded and intimidated me for the terrible crime of picking up litter in the middle of Cork City. I'm not kidding. It's a great story.
You've got My Arrest.
Yes, that was when I was locked into a shop by the manager for not wearing a mask. It involved the police and the courts.
Nutter Outside the School Gates. That sounds intriguing.
That was my lone man protest outside the school of my daughter. The headmaster wasn't engaging with me and he thought he could outwit me. I proved otherwise.
Part 4, Observations and Reminiscences. I liked this one. Dawn of the Brain Dead. The relentless transmission of excrement. What's that about?
That refers to RTE, the National Irish Broadcaster.
Ursula's famous text messages.
The German scuzzball European Union head who did a deal with Pfizer and promptly lost the text messages that she used to do that deal, so that prosecutors couldn't prosecute her for corruption. But that's just another day in the life of the very interesting and intriguing European Union.
For your own safety, we're going to have to kill you. That's funny. Being dead is no excuse. The Intolerable Swedes. Tell us about that one.
Well, the Swedes should all be dead because they didn't lock down, but they did take the vax, so that should make up for it.
And this last one in part 4, what's with all the dead African presidents? Tell us about that.
Well, as the British Medical Journal reported, a very high proportion of those African presidents who opposed mass injecting their populations died.
Moving down to part 5, conclusions. Predictability guarantees defeat.
We all know that when you're trying to beat an opponent, you need to be unpredictable. Being angry makes you very predictable.
I'm not sure how much to believe of this, but it's certainly an interesting book. I might get around to reading it sometime.
Yeah, good idea.
Research isn't my strong point, to be fair. Well, thanks, Séamus. Anything else you'd like to leave us with?
Thanks for inviting me. Please get the book. If you go to talesfromthelockdown.com, you can purchase and download a free ebook that comes with that. Or you can go to Amazon, paperback, hardback, Kindle. I'd really appreciate the support. And tell all your friends. It's satire, so there are some funny stories there. I give it a good shot at relating them in a digestible and entertaining way.
Tune in next time, folks. This is Fintan O'Toolebox signing off.